Okay, I'm actually working with this painting now. It's gonna be quite nice, but I just made a video with where I do some work on this face, and since everybody asks me how I do my skin tones, I just want to make a shorter video about that. So I'm gonna post it, and I hope that you learn something from it, and that you give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and if you even want to do that, go to my Patreon and sign up. If you want to support my work, you can do that through Patreon, signing up for $1 or $5 or whatever you like, and there will be a full tutorial of this in a few weeks. So stay tuned, keep watching and keep learning and keep living, because that is exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, this is what I'm painting right now. I'm doing this face. It's a beginning in the sketch, and I'm just going to keep on banging on until it is how it's gonna be. Now I've seen the photo, I'm gonna focus on the face for a while, and maybe talk about what I'm doing. Maybe even more here. Okay, so yeah, you see it's very small. I really enjoy doing that. For some reason it gives me very nice focus. Usually I do big things. This is a smaller one, and I really do want to work on these different levels, with very tiny things to the really big ones. I don't know, it's like the more diverse you paint and draw, the better you get, I guess. And it's I really do take pleasure in doing that. I can actually see on the video now that, you know, this is very much in the dark. Can't really see this one anymore. So just I wonder if I had COVID actually. Doesn't scare me. Let me see now. I need to get it a little bit down here. It's easier for me to see. Well, I'm going to do some detail there first. And I was playing this beautiful piano music. And then I get very creative. I get so creative when that I can't really. I want to do everything. I want to make videos, I want to post videos, and I want to paint, and I want to do everything when I get into that deeper flow, because it triggers so many different things in me. Now I'm going to try to control this as good. Usually I tend to put in too much textures. And I want to try to keep this a little bit lower, if that might be the right word. Once I need to scrape away a lot of paint, because I had been working on top of it and on top of it and on top of it so many times that it kind of just built it right out of the painting. I want to try to keep it a little bit down and be more focused this time. First I like to build light underneath, and then I can do both glazes and everything over it. Now this is a painting that is is 80 centimeters, 0.80 centimeters. It's quite a. It's not big, but it's not small, you know. I call it my Vermeer size. You know, Jan Vermeer painted these small. He painted very small, actually. I don't. I have so much material to paint also. You see here, I'm basically using French ultramarine, and I'm using this this thing called Naples Gel Extra. I think it's very nice. It has this, it's a yellowish, and when I mix that with a krapla called Alsarin, I'm getting a very nice tone. Skin tone, very nice shadow tone as a basis. But you have to, of course, go back and forth until you find the right tone with the right amount of the different colors in, and that I can't really explain to you. It's just something you have to take and do. For every single painting you do, there's different hues in the skin tones and stuff, and it's very hard to say that, oh, this skin tone, this is the universal skin tone. But there is, of course, no such thing, and that is why I'm now going back and forth and trying to find the right amount of blue and the right amount of Alsarin. And I think I'm going to buy kraplak actually and see if there is any difference between the Alsarin and the kraplak. I think they look quite the same, but of course there's going to be some difference. And I'm going to do, this is now way too red, so I need to break it down into the more bluish realm. The colors underneath here are in the blue. Many people ask me how I do skin tone. I remember there was an artist many years ago who asked me about, oh, what kind of colors do you use? And he was quite a good drawer and he could have been a good painter also, but he lacked he didn't have a sense of color. And he was kind of using these, what is called fan brushes and stuff to kind of, he really didn't understand texture. He didn't understand that you have to give the skin, skin is not static, you know. It's not a bottle, it's not a glass. It is a very dynamic thing that changes color, whatever light it is in. But it seemed like he couldn't really get that into his head. I was trying to tell the guy, there are no such thing as skin tone. And he, oh, what kind of? And he was so certain that I had this recipe. But I didn't, and back then I was probably even more unconscious compared to what I was doing. I was doing way more on pure intuition. Now I at least know what I'm doing intellectually. So, you know, I'm putting in here, it has to be more green here. So I need to get that color into the, or is it blue? Actually, it looks a little bit like blue. And there's some green here. So it's kind of, you know, it's very subtle, this face. So Just want to get it right in proportions, and then I will do the rest of the sketch, the whole sketch. I just want to make sure that I have the right size and the right, you know, there are not too many mistakes here, because it's so annoying when I do too many mistakes. I have to correct so many things. But this here is, you see, it's reddish down here. It has some, but it's basically in the blue, green, with a third of reddish and orange, or not orange but red. So, but you just, it's so many nuances, and all the different nuances are creating this small face in more. It's kind of shaping the face in nuance and color. It's the lips. The lips are way darker, and that is too. You have to be able to see. If you see some light here in the lips, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that these lips are as bright as these, and we can easily be fooled by all the symbols for everything we have in our heads. We have symbols for shadows and symbols for eyes and mouth, and symbols even for colors, and symbols for how much light, and sometimes you just paint what you think is there, while you should paint what is actually there. And that is the challenge, and that is where, of course, it gets more and more difficult as you evolve as a painter, to get over those hurdles and understand what is needed. So yeah, I'll even out this, then I will pull it a little bit back up again, because there's a tiny light here, and these things too, you know, this is the line. It is a shadow that creates this smooth transition between the upper thing and the underneath there. So you basically have to imitate a 3D lip, which is falling in on itself like that. And all of these things is what makes a painting good or bad. You know, amateurs tend to just make some lines and symbols and stuff, and it doesn't work, you know, they never get it to work. And it's amazing. I've seen artists who do very, very good work, and they usually use a hell of a lot of time on their stuff. And as you solve problems, you will get better and better and better. And then you just move the goalpost. You never really get finished. You're never going to be content and say, now I'm here. Now I'm just gonna ride the wave. It's not how painting works, sad to say. You will always, as you move your skill wall, you will also move to a higher level of difficulty. So you never actually come to a point where you will be content with anything, unless you're a narcissistic ass that will basically be pleased with everything and become complacent. And then it stops. If you kind of go into, I actually told a friend of mine today that is a painter, he's a landscape painter. He's good, he's very good actually. But he has kind of stopped. He has found one way to do things and he is stuck, and I can see that his process goes faster and faster. It's almost, you know, in 2 or 3 days he can make a painting. And if you can make a painting that fast, you start at some point, you're going to start to look like these people who have this recipe, you know, that you see on YouTube. That just fluff, and then it's over, and then you're content with it, and then it's over. You have to push yourself. So I said flat out that you need to start push yourself, or you're going to burn out. You're going to lose the drive, because the drive shouldn't be the finished result. It should be the process. And the pleasure you have from painting shouldn't be the finished artwork. It has to be the process, because when the finished artwork is finished, you are happy for half an hour, and then you kind of tend to move on to the next, and basically facing the same problems all over again. So you have to kind of fall in love with the problem-solving process itself, not the thought of a finished artwork. And if you do that, you will be good. You can just continue painting for the rest of your life, because there's always another hurdle to cross over. So that is my recommendation. This is my daughter, by the way, and she was, I think she was 10. So, a very sweet girl. So, shit. Okay. The good thing is that she has the same nose as me, so I kind of recognize what's need to be done. She also has this light coming underneath here that comes from her torso. That is also things that are very important to get in. See if there's, so we can actually see what I'm doing there. Maybe I should get this in. Kind of looks a little bit more like her. Actually, it's a kind of a comment to the painting Puberty by Edvard Munch, but you will see that when I have done it, the link between those two paintings. It's kind of this. I guess this was right before puberty. Or well, my daughter actually got into puberty quite early, like I did, and actually my mother did. So it runs in the family. But you know, the mental puberty hits in a little bit later, or when they really get into this crazy period where the angels turn to demons for a while. And she did, no doubt about that. So did I, actually. I kind of, when I was a child, I was a very nice child. and then I kind of turned a little bit bad. Very selfish and narcissistic. And then turn back again. I do think if I didn't start painting, I wonder if I ever would have gotten out of that narcissistic state, because it's the consequence of my painting that I actually turned on a deeper level of introspection. Anyway, I should talk about painting. I know people probably miss that, but I also see, I think how you think as a person is very important as a painter, that you kind of connect with these deeper layers in yourself, your honesty. You have to become an honest person. I think you have to become an honest person to become a better painter. You might say, well, you're not such a good painter, you can't be honest then. Well, you might be right about that. I wouldn't know. Now I try to have some objective standards that I measure myself towards, to kind of get a sense of where I am. And I'm now maybe in the 50%, and I will never reach the 100, because first of all it's not possible. I can never become as good as Rembrandt or any of the Greek classics, but I can for sure so give it the old college try, as they say, to do my best and become the best painter I can. And that is my, you see here now, I'm mixing the colors on the canvas now. I think that is a way to go, because you know, I put in some more blue here. Now there's some very brighter light up here and here, but it's also very subtle. So, and the shadow is actually going down like this. It's way more down here. So that is the things, you know, when you don't use a projector, that is the things you have to do. You have to correct stuff. And I think that actually gives my paintings extra dimension of more kind of human-like touch to it than if you do projector work in a way too photorealistic. You can say that the photo is my objective. I do actually try to get as close to the photo as possible, but with paint. So you can be the judge of how good I am compared to that. So, yeah. Anyway. I also use my blue black, and I might sometimes mix it in with a French Ultramarine. I actually don't use much cobalt for some reason. But I do always have it on my palette. If I mix it with the Alzarine, maybe see what happens. I think it turns way too blue when I do that. And in this painting, this face here, there's not that much clean and pure, clean colors. I need to break them up all the time, keep them down. So it's kind of easier for me to do that with adding in some blue black. Even in this painting, I guess I'm also going to try using my ivory black, because it is a more neutral black that is towards a more warm, and maybe I could try that too. I'm going to use that later. Gee. Okay. So, it's too blue. Need to break it up a little bit. Then I put actually in some earthy colors. One I like to use is Van Dyke, and I also mix it with the alizarin and the cobalt of French ultramarine. It kind of becomes a very nice darker tone. Then I can add more light on top of it. I need to do this painting basically wet in wet, like I did with the tattoo girl, because I don't have that much time. But it can be interesting to try to control the process more, and just see what happens. See now, 1, 2, there, 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5. Well, it's gonna be okay, I guess. Anyway, what time is it, you know? Okay, almost half an hour now. So maybe I should just zoom out a little bit, zoom in. My videos always becomes very long, but that is how it is. I'm trying to make some more life in it. Was it Bob Ross, that guy? His name was? Bob Ross, horrible painter. He became complacent. He was just standing there making the same paintings over and over again. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Never got any better because he was content with his kitsch or mediocrity. And if you become like that, you accept myth, you accept your mediocrity. You say, oh, I can't do that, so I'm just going to stick with what's safe. You're not going to move anywhere. You have to go out of the way to be where it's not safe for you, where you don't really know what to do sometimes, where you are going, how you're going to solve it. That is where you learn. You don't learn by doing the same bloody thing over and over and over again. You might say that I do that in my motifs and stuff. Of course I do that, but the point is that it is the skill, it is the difficulty you have to push further and further and further. It doesn't really matter what you paint. If you do the same type of motifs all the time, it doesn't really matter. It is the skill and the amount of paintedness you have to push to become better. Now that was way too blue, but I guess I'm out of time now, so just gonna shake up this a little bit also and put in some put in there. That shadow became way too blue, so I'm just gonna put in some more color here, trying to get it to melt together. There's many ways to do that, so I also want to keep it open. I don't want to. Don't use lines. Don't use hard. Some places you can actually put in, like here, there is a line down in the arm there and stuff. There's some places you can actually put in quite a sharp line, but it has to be so focused. It has to be have a concrete address, and you have to choose it advisedly, as they say. You really have to choose where to put in things that strengthen different things. Well, it's just gonna look like a big coincidence. I mean, you just don't pour in a little texture and hope that you're gonna get a dynamic painting, but that's not how it works. You have to focus where you actually put in the things and decide, okay, here's gonna be thick, here's gonna be thin, this one has to be thick but a little bit thinner than on the other side because it's further away. Many things you have to think about. As you can see here, this is, it's not the right color yet. But what I do is that now it's kind of reddish, and I see it has some green and stuff and yellowish from this Naples thing I showed you in the beginning. So I just try to kind of get more yellowish into it. But of course there's going to be many layers here, so this is just a first basis layer. And as I go along, I will start to tighten it up and focus the light areas and focus the shadow areas. But right now I will just try to get it right. So also the background is also explains a lot, because in the back here is kind of that wall texture, the plaster texture, and it is basically has some Prussian blue in it, and that is a very nice color to bring out the yellow and the blue, no, yellow and reddish in the skin. But then I have to find the right hue. Now I'm actually mixing both Prussian blue and French ultramarine together just to see what happens. And that wasn't much. Just gonna try to give it more texture now. So, okay, just do like this. Also, you have to work in directions. It's very important to find what direction is the wall behind there. What direction will I paint to kind of compare it with these. These things will go more up and down and follow the different shapes. But the wall has to be more ordered, as they say. Less disorder. That's also a physical property of the universe, that things that are made by humans often is more ordered than what's made in nature. Nature can be a little bit more chaotic. So the difference between the skin and the wall behind plaster is that it looks man-made and feels man-made, and you have to kind of use a human type of directions and texture. You have to try to understand how the wall there works physically. And when it comes to the skin, you have to think it's made by a committee called evolution with all its faults, and that makes it more dynamic and organic. Of course it is organic, so the things like that, that's quite important to understand. Knowing some physics and some science could be also a good tool to understand why one has to differentiate the different textures and stuff from one another to create a dynamic painting. So many things like that you have to think about when you do your artwork. And yeah, there's some plaster stuff back in the wall there. Just want to put in some stuff. But anyway, I will start doing more of the whole sketch, because I think I got the main stuff in here. Of course I have to use the mirror to be certain and correct the small things that are off in proportion and stuff. Just gonna build some more light here. There's way too much up there. Like this. It's not really red either, it's like yellowish. It's a lot of ish. You don't find much very pure color in nature. You find a mix, every surface, everything has a mix of all the different colors and different levels, and not levels, but yeah, different levels of the different colors compared to what spectre is at. And it's quite important to understand that. Here's very green actually. And, yeah, this cough, it doesn't give me peace. Anyway, so you see I'm working down like this, and then I will do the hair upon that later when I feel I have reached a certain level. So yeah. These two surfaces really glide very nicely into one another in the photo. So I just need to try to get that right. And of course, this thing here is very, very light and has a higher, need to have a thickness to it. But I will, do that better later when I have more cleaner colors. Oh shit. I think this must be like 40 minutes. A 40-minute segment. My paintings always gets very long because I tend to like to show more of the process than other people. And in a way, it's like having, when you do videos like this, it's almost like having company. I'm gonna start streaming now soon. Maybe I should start tomorrow or something. So you can stream sessions like this. And that could be a good idea. That is my brook. Making sound. Let me see now. Okay. Well, I hope you get my point, and I will see you in the next segment. Of course,